Big question here on Wednesday on Morning Kick Around. I'm Robert. He's Jason. One of the never ending questions of where should Giovanni Reyna go took another turn as rumors surface out of Dortmund. So the big question is what's the source of this Gio to Inter rumor, Jason?
Yeah, we're going to do a little forensic review on a soccer transfer rumor. And this obviously is a very important one to us because we're U.S. men's national team fans, and Gio Reyna is one of our bright young talents. He has not had a good time at Dortmund over the last couple seasons. He needs somewhere to play his soccer. So why wouldn't some other club be a better situation? So this is what we've got here. If you can see this, and let me move my cursor so it's there. Gio Reyna targeted by Italian giants looking for a boost in the American market. This is from BVB Buzz over on Fansided. So I want to make sure that this is clear. This is a fan website or a website that is taking in information and writing it up. They're not doing any original reporting. And okay, fine, but it says there's that an Italian giant is looking at Gio Reyna. Should I get excited as an American soccer fan? Robert, are you excited by this headline? Are you encouraged at the possibility of Gio Reyna making a move to some Italian giant?
I feel like I've been following transfer rumors for 25 to 35 years, and I'm numb to fake news. So I take all of this with a grain of salt. But I'm
Oh,
interested to see
okay.
what more is to be unfurled here.
Robert, can you role play for just a minute, for the purposes of this segment? I would
So
like you
so that
to.
way, so Gio he's in a tough situation at Dortmund. He needs to go to another club. I'm desperate to know where he's going to land.
All right, yeah, I see a headline like this, and I think, great, Gio Reyna might have a new place to play. Let's scroll down. We got a big picture of Gio, looking good in his U.S. men's national team shirt there. All right, let's read the lead. Let's look at this. It seems that AC Milan isn't the only team from Italy interested in Giovanni Reyna, and I will point out that rumors surfaced a couple months ago through some Milan-based source. I saw it over on X that AC Milan is interested in Gio Reyna. So far, nothing more on that. Just that one rumor. Again, questionable as to whether there's any real fire where that smoke is puffing up. It says, in fact, AC Milan aren't even the only team in the city that are interested. Inter Milan blog Sempre Inter reports that Inter Milan is targeting certain U.S. players in hopes of bolstering market growth. Those two words together scare me already. Market growth. Abroad ahead of the FIFA Club World Cup. All right, so there's more here. It does kind of outline why Gio Reyna might be a target for a club like Inter. And by the way, Inter, the best team in Italy. I mean, that would be a big step for Gio Reyna to go to the best team in Italy. Would he even play? But we'll put that aside. Let's just continue to follow this rumor to see where it leads.
Can I
We've
jump
got a
in that
link. Yes.
jumping into the market because they want an American is falling into the gaps of all the American player naysayers over in Europe. That is why they say that Pulisic got transfers and all this stuff is because it was just because he was American. They want to sell shirts. So this is kind of playing into that.
Yeah, but we've got a link here, right? So, okay, this is BVB Buzz. We think they're just pulling information from somewhere else. We don't know if it's real, but they included a link for us, so we can click on Sempre Inter and see what Sempre Inter says about this story. Oh, here we go. Inter Milan target 2 USMNT as part of strategy to boost. That's a double boost.
Double
Boost revenue
boost.
and
Fast
market
and
growth.
Furious fan.
Again, I want clubs to want our players because they are good players and they can help them win soccer games. I am less enthusiastic about the idea of a player going anywhere because of revenue and market growth. However, it's a thing, right? Okay, fine. It's part of the modern game. Nobody is signed without at least some thought being given to how many shirts they can sell at a club. Let's read on from Sempre Inter, which is obviously in the business of covering Inter Milan. If anybody would know if there's real interest in Gio Reyna, I guess it would be Sempre Inter. Inter Milan are keen to tap into the USA market and could lure USMNT stars, including Giovanni Reyna, to support this strategy. According to Calcio Mercato, hold on, because there's a link there. That's a clue for us. We're like Blues Clues over here. Is that still a thing? People still do Blues Clues? I don't know. We got some clues. It says new ownership under Oak Tree, which, again, this is one of those. We got some big investment firm in charge of some famous club now. But they are prioritizing North and Central American market. This is sounding very familiar. The Friedkin Group and various other American-based groups are taking over European clubs and then going, we got to get more into the American market. It talks about the Club World Cup here in the United States this season and the 2026 World Cup. I will scroll a little bit. We got Gio in his Dortmund shirt there. And then another headline, double headline. Inter Milan plan to break into U.S. market and target USMNT star Gio Reyna. Star is doing a lot of work there. Not sure that's the word I would use for Gio Reyna right now. And then it mentions that Milan and Juve have already taken advantage of this strategy with several exciting signings. Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tim Weah, Yunus Musa have boosted their visibility in the United States. I'd like to take a moment and pause here for a second and ask, how much more popular are AC Milan and Juventus in the United States because of their American players, Robert? I mean, we're not doing empirical data here, but I'm curious if you think there's been a big boost of interest in those Italian clubs because they have American players.
I would say marginal at best. I think there's more people maybe tuning into it, people like us talking about the league and those teams more than we would have if there wasn't an American there. But I'm trying to think if I've seen people, maybe a small handful of Pulisic AC Milan jerseys, perhaps. I think there's maybe more of an awareness of those teams, but I can't believe that there's been like a huge groundswell of like AC Milan's my team.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't think that this is. I'm watching more Serie A than I have in a very long time because of the American presence there. And I imagine
have you enjoyed that? Have you enjoyed that?
Yes, yeah. And I'm more educated about the Italian football than I maybe ever have been. So I guess if you extrapolate that and how many Jason Davises exist in America, then maybe they're right. Maybe there's some, and even some boost is better than no boost. Right? If you're not sure that you're really popular at all, I mean, there are Inter fans that live in the United States, don't get me wrong, but if you don't think you're really reaching the level you could, and every club is identifying markets to exploit, right? Clubs are opening offices in America in order to try to do this, then why wouldn't you? But I don't know that signing a player and potentially spending millions of euros on a player is the right way to do it. And if we use logic here, before I even continue the follow the clues of this rumor, if we use logic here, Gio Reyna may be relatively cheap, but there's a reason for that. Now, maybe you're hoping that he's relatively cheap and you're buying low on a player who really will come good. But as is being pointed out in the chat, Gio Reyna will be 23 this year. He's not a kid anymore. This is not a player in development. This is a player who should be meeting his potential if he's going to actually do that. And I think it's interesting that this story says that Gio Reyna's flamboyant nature has curtailed his progress at Borussia Dortmund. Is that a euphemism for he's an asshole? Like, what is that? I don't exactly know what that means.
I've seen a couple flashes of flamboyant play, but wouldn't we say he's probably more known for... I mean, that is a good thing. It's good to see some exciting players, but he's probably been known more for having maybe a cloudy disposition or even his familial interference with his
I just don't know the flamboyant, the right word. Now, as I have said, all right, you're looking to exploit new markets. As Scott is saying, pro soccer is a business first. It seems like some people, especially the left-leaning, forget that. I'm going to leave that part about the left-leaning aside, Scott. Don't think that has anything to do with this, but you do you. As for soccer being a business, absolutely, and we're recognizing that. But again, there are things that have to coincide. Is this a smart signing, not just so that they can exploit an American market potentially, although how popular is Gio Reyna in the United States is an important, relevant question. I don't think people know who he is because he hasn't done bleep. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot to go on. It's not as though he's getting documentaries made about him over on Paramount Plus. Just pointing that out. Now, again, we're following the clues. This says that this all comes from Calcio Mercato, about a report about Oak Tree prioritizing. And I've got the English translation of some of that report over at Calcio Mercato, which is in Italian, right? Mm-hmm. It's in Italian. This story says nothing about Gio Reyna being a target of Inter Milan. Absolutely nothing. What it says is that, again, Oak Tree would like to exploit the American market or move into the American market, and then mentions a number of players that Inter Milan may have been interested in the past and could be interested in, and then brings in just a bunch of, there's a name there. Look, it says, this is translated, so it says John Reyna, which is not his name. His name is Giovanni Reyna, because Giovanni, of course, is an Italian name, and you translate it into, doesn't matter. My point is, they're just throwing stuff up against the wall. Right? We've got Fowler and Balogun, who obviously went to Monaco instead of landing anywhere else. Inter did try to sign Tanner Tessman. Maybe that was a move into the American market kind of thing, but he wanted to play. He didn't want to be a reserve. So he said no, and the agents asked for more money, and it never happened, and now he's in France, where he seems to be growing and getting called up to the U.S. men's national team. Ricardo Pepi. Look, if this was Inter Milan is interested in Ricardo Pepi to break into the American market, I would be like, okay, you know what? That kind of makes sense. And he's played well enough and scored enough goals at PSV Eindhoven that you can justify the soccer part of that. But right now, Gio Reyna, all I'm saying is maybe there's some world in which Inter Milan is interested in Gio Reyna. And maybe they see that as a move strategically to get into the American market. But this rumor, as written and as we have followed the clues and clicked on the links, basically you get to nothing at the end. It is just a bunch of nonsense. And that's how a lot of transfer rumors work, Rob. That's how they work.
Do you think BVB Buzz had like an agent in their ear, or maybe they're so sold into Dortmund that they're trying to create their own rumor mill to like try to get him sold off?
Well, I think what they do is they aggregate stories that mention Dortmund, and they saw that there was a report at Sempre Inter that there was some interest in American players, and Gio Reyna is an American player at Dortmund, and they just started adding two and two together, and it doesn't matter to BVB Buzz whether there's any real substance to the story. They're just trying to get clicks. They're just trying to add content. This is the content mill world that we live in, where it's not about whether this is a real story. It's 100% about whether or not people are going to be like, oh, Gio Reyna is a target of Inter? I'm clicking on this link. And now some of your interest means money for the website. That's it.
There's some folks in the chat throwing out some names, mostly mid-level tier teams in big leagues. And I think at the end of the day, you in the chat, and just the broader folks that are aware of Gio Reyna, who he is and what we feel he is capable of, basically just want to see more of him play, right?
Look, I'm at the point, okay, and I'm not saying this is my first choice, right? I'm not saying this, but in the discourse after the U.S. failure of the Nations League, some notable people in American soccer media have suggested that it would be better for some American soccer players to be the man, a central figure responsible for helping a team win in Major League Soccer, rather than be toiling on the bench or never playing or even being a role player or a support player in a club in Europe. Right now, I'm not going to make the argument that Weston McKennie would be better served to be playing for Chicago than Juve. I'm not making that argument. I'm not at that point. I don't know if that's homerism or boosterism or whatever. I don't think that's a good idea. But Gio Reyna, who can barely get in the team at Dortmund, who is now going through another manager who clearly is struggling, who may not last the season the way that it's gone for Dortmund recently. I don't know if they have the stomach to fire Niko Kovac after firing Sahin, but that's bad. If his options are sit there at Dortmund and do nothing and maybe get 10 minutes of garbage time, or come to Major League Soccer and be responsible for leading the attack in a team that's trying to win something, I would rather him be in MLS. It's not the best ideal situation, but it's better than what he's got going on right now.
We just want to see more of him, right? Yeah. Well,
yeah, and look, this is fair too, right? He's talented enough to play in the Bundesliga, just not a Champions League team. Now, by the way, talent is not Gio Reyna's issue. I'm not saying he's good enough for Dortmund or Bayern Munich or even Inter Milan. Talent, though, is not his issue. His issue seems to be attitude. His issue seems to be commitment. His issue, because if you look at the data that we have available, we just talked about, Weston McKennie is more likely than not going to convince Igor Tudor that he can play, and he'll be in Juve's plans for the rest of the season, and maybe into next year if Tudor's still around. But based on the data, it's the opposite for Gio Reyna. Every manager that has come into Dortmund, and the manager at Nottingham Forest, who was basically told, here's a guy that I represent, by his agent, and then failed to play him, have decided that Gio Reyna is not the guy they want in their team. That it can't just be about managers not liking Gio because he's American. It has to be about Gio. So this maybe he needs a better situation. Maybe he needs to feel more appreciated, and that's a lower level team in a top league in Europe. I don't know, but clearly something's wrong.
Coaches like players that help them reach their goals. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is our Wednesday edition of Morning Kick Around. I'm Rob. He's Jason. If you'd like to help us continue to grow this program, hit that subscribe button. We have surpassed, I think, 1,600 on our way to 2,500 and then 5,000. That's right, Luke. Hit the subscribe button, and you can follow us along on social media at MKickaround on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, or write us a note, an email even, morningkickaround@gmail.com. And if you'd like to send in something else, what you got?
I wanted to mention, I don't have it available, but I think by Friday I will be able to show off my brand new jersey that is coming in the mail. St. Louis FC, the club that was basically killed off by the arrival of St. Louis City. Our listener Jim has sent that to me. The tracking says it's arriving today. I'm super excited. I'm going to show that off on Friday. So thank you to Jim.
I heard a certain USL2 team might be sending something from Southeast Michigan as well.
Ooh, nice. That's
so we
lovely.
shall see. A last little plug, guys. Financial support, ko-fi.com/morningkickaround.
Coffee. Buy us a coffee.
Buy us a coffee or a million coffees if you're that generous. Coffee.com/morningkickaround. And there's even a bonus segment over there for those who donate. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Plenty to talk about on Friday, and we'll see you then. And until then, everybody, please enjoy your soccer.